If you were to scroll through my Instagram, at Elena Loves Life, you'd see a perfect mosaic of happiness. There I am, laughing. My head thrown back. Sunlight catching the diamond necklace my husband, Mark, gave me for our anniversary. There we are. His arms wrapped around me on a beach in Santorini. The Aegean Sea, a breathtaking blue behind us. Our dinners, meticulously plated and photographed, look like they belong in a gourmet magazine. #blessed. #husband of the year. #marriage goals. The camera loves our life. I just wish I could still feel it. The disconnect started subtly. About 6 months ago. A general unease that I chalked up to getting older. To stress. Mark had just been made a junior partner at his law firm. The hours were longer. The pressure immense. I was so proud of him. I threw myself into being the perfect supportive wife. I'd pour a glass of expensive Malbec when I heard his key in the door. I'd have his favorite meals simmering on the stove. Our dinners became our sacred time. No phones, no television. Just us, reconnecting over seared scallops or herb-crusted lamb. He'd tell me about his cases, his victories, and I'd hang on every word. He started insisting on making my plate himself. "You work so hard all day, my love," he'd say, his voice a warm caress. "Let me take care of you." It was romantic, until it wasn't. About 20 minutes after finishing dinner, without fail, a wave of crippling nausea would wash over me. Dizziness. A throbbing headache that would press against my temples until I had to retreat to a dark, silent bedroom. "It must be your hormones, Elle," Mark would say, his brow furrowed with concern. He'd bring me a glass of water and 2 white tablets. "Here, these will help you sleep it off." He was always so gentle, so caring. He'd tuck me in, kiss my forehead, and tell me he'd clean up so I wouldn't have to worry about a thing. I went to the doctors. So many doctors. Allergists, endocrinologists, a gastroenterologist. I had blood panels, allergy tests, scans. Everything came back pristine. "You're the picture of health, Mrs. Thorne," they'd all say. Perhaps it's stress? Anxiety can manifest in physical ways. I started to believe them. Maybe I was subconsciously sabotaging our perfect life. Maybe I didn't feel I deserved it. Mark never got sick. He'd eat the same food, drink the same wine, and be perfectly fine, bustling with energy while I was curled up in a ball of misery. But a tiny, stubborn seed of doubt had been planted in the back of my mind. It was the way he was too understanding. The way he never once seemed frustrated or inconvenienced by my sudden, nightly illness. It was the Last night, everything changed. Okay, Storytime family. We're just getting started. Does this sound familiar to anyone? That feeling that something is off but you can't quite put your finger on it? Let me know in the comments if you've ever had that gut feeling you just couldn't ignore. Last night's dinner was coq au vin. Mark had spent the afternoon preparing it. The rich aroma of wine, mushrooms, and bacon filling our beautiful, open-plan home. He hummed as he cooked. A picture of domestic bliss. As he brought my plate to the table, he did his usual thing. He served himself from the pot on the stove, then brought my plate over, already plated. "For my beautiful wife," he said, smiling. But this time, my eyes, for just a fraction of a second, caught a flicker of something else in his. Not love. Not warmth. It was anticipation. A hunter watching his prey step into a snare. The seed of doubt erupted into a full-grown vine of terror, coiling around my spine. I smiled back, my face a mask of gratitude. I took a bite. "It's delicious, honey. The best one yet." We made small talk. I ate about half of my serving, pushing the food around artfully to make it look like I'd eaten more. My heart was hammering against my ribs so hard I was sure he could hear it. The familiar, dreaded feeling began to creep in, the lightheadedness, the stomach cramp. I put my fork down, letting my hand tremble slightly. "Oh, Mark," I whispered, putting the back of my hand to my forehead. "It's coming on again. I'm so sorry." His face instantly morphed into the picture of concern. "Oh, sweetheart. Not again. Here." He was ready, as always, with the glass of water and 2 white pills. "Take these. You'll feel better after you sleep." This was the moment. The point of no return. I took the pills, pretended to swallow them, and let him guide me to the sofa instead of the bedroom. "Just rest here for a minute, my love, before you go up," he said softly. "I'll clean up." I nodded weakly, closing my eyes, but I didn't swallow the pills. I let them dissolve slightly on my tongue, a bitter chalkiness spreading. And then, when he turned his back to clear the table, I discreetly spat them into a napkin and tucked it into the cuff of my sleeve. Then, I played my part. I let my body go limp. My breathing slowed and deepened, mimicking the rhythm of sleep. I was a statue, every sense screamingly alert. But to anyone looking, I was dead to the world. I heard him put the plates in the dishwasher. He wiped down the counters. He was humming again. It was a cheerful, tuneless sound that made my skin crawl. Then, silence. I could feel his presence nearby, watching me. I fought every instinct to tense up, to flinch, to breathe irregularly. I kept my eyes shut, my face peaceful. I was certain he could hear the scream building inside my skull. After what felt like an eternity, he let out a soft, quiet sigh. It wasn't a sigh of worry. It was a sigh of relief. He walked away, his footsteps retreating to his study down the hall. The door didn't close all the way. He always left it ajar, he said, so he could hear me if I called out. I remained perfectly still, counting the seconds, listening to the frantic drumbeat of my own heart. "What are you doing? What are you waiting for?" Then, I heard it, the low, muffled sound of his voice. He was on the phone. This is the part that still gives me chills, guys. The moment the world you know just cracks. If you're feeling the tension right now, smash that like button. It lets me know you're with me on this emotional roller coaster. I strained to hear, every muscle in my body taut with concentration. His voice was low, intimate, but the house was so quiet his words carried on a ghostly current down the hall. "Yeah, she's out for the count," he said, a chuckle in his voice that I'd never heard before. It was cold, contemptuous. "No, same as always." The special seasoning worked like a charm. Special seasoning. The words hit me like a physical blow. It wasn't the food. It was something in the food. Something he was adding only to my plate. My blood ran cold. I felt the bile rise in my throat, but I swallowed it down, forcing myself to stay silent, to keep listening. I know, baby. I can't wait either," he cooed. "Just a few more weeks of this. The doctor says with the symptoms she's describing, and with her clean bill of health, it'll be easy to get the paperwork pushed through. Unexplained neurological decline. They'll recommend a nice, quiet facility, one where they're very understanding about end-of-life care." I stopped breathing. The room tilted. A facility. End-of-life care. He wasn't just making me sick. He was building a medical case. He was poisoning me slowly, methodically. To have me declared incompetent. To have me locked away so he could take everything, the house, the money my parents left me, everything, and be with whoever was on the other end of that phone. "Patience, my love," he murmured. "We've waited this long. Another month, and the life insurance policy matures. The full double indemnity payout. Then it's just you and me, and a beach house in Bali. Forever." I felt the world dissolve around me. The man I had loved, had built a life with, had trusted with my very life, was a monster. The dinners, the concern, the pills. It was all a meticulously planned execution. He wasn't trying to kill me quickly. He was torturing me, erasing me piece by piece, and planning to profit from my destruction. The call ended. I heard his chair creak as he stood up. Panic, pure and electric, shot through me. He was coming back to check on me. If he found me awake, if he saw the horror on my face, it would all be over. He'd accelerate his plan. He'd find another way. I had one chance. One performance that had to be Oscar-worthy. I heard his footsteps approaching. I let my mouth fall open slightly, let my breathing become a soft, shallow snore. I was a doll. A broken, sleeping doll. He stood over me for a long time. I could smell his cologne, the same one I'd bought him for Christmas. I could feel the weight of his gaze. "Elena?" he whispered. I didn't move. He whispered it again. A little louder. A probe to test the depths of my drugged sleep. I gave a soft, sleepy grunt and turned my head away from him, mumbling something incoherent about the documents being filed by Tuesday. A line I'd heard him say 1,000 times. It worked. I heard him smile. I could hear it. "That's my girl," he whispered, but the words were laced with venom. He leaned down and kissed my forehead. His lips felt like a brand of betrayal. "Sleep tight." He walked away, and a moment later, I heard the back door slide open. He was going out to the patio to have his nightly cigar, a ritual he enjoyed after I was asleep. The moment the door clicked shut, my eyes flew open. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. A terrifying, icy calm settled over me. The shattered pieces of my heart didn't vanish. They reforged themselves into something new. Something hard. Something sharp. The woman who believed in number marriage goals was gone. In her place was someone else. A survivor. I moved with a silence I didn't know I possessed. I went to the kitchen. The pot of coq au vin was still on the stove. I found the small, unlabeled jar of special herbs he kept in the spice rack, the one he said was a secret ingredient from a fancy market. I took a tiny sample, sealing it in a Ziploc bag. I went to his study. His computer was password protected, but I knew he kept a notebook in his locked desk drawer. I'd never pried before. Now, I used a letter opener to jimmy the cheap lock. Inside, next to a stack of papers, was a burner phone I'd never seen. My hands trembled as I scrolled through the messages. The photos. It was his paralegal, Jessica, 23 years old. There were photos of them together in our bed. Messages planning my decline. Discussions about the life insurance policy. A drafted letter to my doctor, supposedly from a concerned friend. He had built a cage for me, brick by digital brick. I took pictures of everything. With my phone, I documented the jar, the hidden phone, the messages. I sent the evidence to a new, secret email address I created, and then to my best friend Sarah, with a 2-word message: "Call now." Then, I put everything back exactly as I found it. I wiped my fingerprints. I returned to the couch, resuming my position just as the back door slid open again. Mark came in, smelling of cigar smoke and deceit. He walked over, saw me sleeping, and smiled. He thought he was the puppet master. He had no idea the strings had just been cut. The audacity, right? The calculated evil of it all? If your jaw is on the floor right now, type jaw drop in the comments below. This is where the story really begins. The next morning, I played my part perfectly. I was groggy, unwell, from the night before. Mark was the epitome of the doting husband, bringing me tea and toast in bed. "You really had a rough one last night, sweetie," he said, stroking my hair. "Maybe we should stick to simpler meals for a while." I looked up at him, and for the first time, I saw the monster behind the mask. The coldness in his eyes that I'd mistaken for focus. The tightness of his smile that I'd thought was stress. It was all there, plain as day, now that I knew what to look for. Maybe you're right, I said, my voice a weak whisper. You're always so good to me, Mark. He preened. He believed he had won. While he was at work, I sprang into action. I met with Sarah. We went to a lawyer, a shark of a woman named Angela Graves, who specialized in taking down powerful, manipulative men. I showed her the evidence. Her lip curled in disgust. We have him, she said, her voice like steel. But we need to be smart. We need to turn his own plan against him. The plan was beautiful in its cruel symmetry. We went to the police with the evidence of the poisoning. The substance in the jar, once analyzed, was a complex mix of prescription drugs, ground into a powder drugs, that, when combined with alcohol, caused precisely my symptoms. Non-lethal, but debilitating. The perfect tool for gaslighting and slow ruin. But we didn't have him arrested. Not yet. That night, I cooked dinner. I made his favorite steak, rare, with a peppercorn sauce. I was nervous, but the fire of my rage kept me steady. This is a nice surprise, he said, smiling as he sat down. I wanted to thank you, I said, my voice soft, for taking such good care of me while I've been so unwell. I served him. I poured the wine, and I watched him eat every single bite. About 20 minutes later, he started to feel unwell. Whoa, he said, putting a hand to his head. I must be more tired than I thought. Oh no, I said, my face a perfect mask of concern. I walked over to him and placed a glass of water and 2 white tablets on the table next to him. Here, honey. These will help you sleep it off. He looked at the pills, and then at me. And for the first time, I saw a flicker of doubt in his eyes, a sliver of fear. Had I imagined the emphasis I'd put on the word sleep? He was too dizzy to protest. He took the pills, just aspirin. This time, and soon, he was slumped at the table, snoring heavily. I took his phone. Using his fingerprint to unlock it, I found Jessica's number. I texted her, from him. Emergency. She's finally gone. The ambulance just took her away. Come over now. Use the back door. I need you. Then, I waited. 15 minutes later, the back door slid open. Jessica walked in, her face a mixture of excitement and feigned sadness. She was already in her pajamas, ready to comfort her grieving lover. She stopped dead when she saw me, standing calmly by the kitchen island, holding a glass of wine. Healthy, alert, furious. Elena, I heard, Mark said. She stammered, her face pale. I bet he did, I said, my voice cold and steady. He's right here. I gestured to the dining table, where Mark was still unconscious, his head on the tablecloth. At that moment, the front door burst open. Angela Graves walked in, followed by 2 police officers, and behind them, a camera crew from the local news tipped off anonymously about a major bust involving a prominent lawyer and a conspiracy to commit murder. The look on Jessica's face was priceless. The look on Mark's, when the officers shook him awake, was even better. Confusion. Then dawning horror. Then sheer, unadulterated panic, as he saw the cameras, the police, my face. Elena, what is this? What's going on? He blustered, trying to regain control of a narrative that was already spiraling into oblivion. I didn't answer him. I just looked at the lead officer and said, the evidence you requested is on the kitchen counter. The jar, his hidden phone, and the recorded confession I captured on my phone last night when he thought I was asleep. I was so my pard. Mark's face went ashen. You were awake? I finally turned to him, and I let him see all the ice, all the fire, all the betrayal in my eyes. I always felt sick after dinner, Mark, I said, my voice barely a whisper but echoing in the dead silence of the room. Last night, I kept my eyes closed. And your call, it didn't shatter me. It forged me. As they were read their rights and led away in handcuffs, past the flashing cameras, I took a slow sip of my wine. The nightmare was over. The revenge, however, was just beginning. The civil suit for attempted murder, psychological torture, and theft would bankrupt him. The bar association would strip him of his license. The video evidence would be all over the news and social media. His name would be mud. And Jessica? Her life was equally ruined. Her career in law, over before it began. They had planned to quietly erase me. Instead, I made sure the whole world saw exactly who they were. I sold the house. I donated the furniture. Every plate, every glass, every memory was tainted. I took the money from the sale and the life insurance policy I now owned. The irony wasn't lost on me, and I started over. I'm telling you this story not for sympathy, but as a warning. As a lesson. The most dangerous prisons aren't made of steel and concrete. They're built with kindness that has conditions. They're painted in the colors of love and trust. The jailer isn't always a stranger. Sometimes, it's the person who sleeps next to you, who vows to protect you. Trust your gut. That feeling of unease, that tiny voice that tells you something is wrong, listen to it. It is your primal instinct, your deepest intelligence trying to save you. Do not let anyone, no matter how much you love them, gaslight you into silence. My story is extreme. But the pattern isn't. It starts with small manipulations, with isolation, with making you doubt your own reality. If something feels off in your relationship, please, pay attention. Your health, your sanity, your life could depend on it. I always felt sick after dinner. Now, I eat what I want, when I want, and I savor every single, free, delicious bite. What did you think of Elena's story? Was her revenge justified? What would you have done in her situation? Let's have a powerful discussion in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, if it made you think, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about modern betrayal, revenge, and finding your power. Remember, your intuition is your superpower. Don't ever let anyone take it from you. Stay strong, family.